All right, and we are live. We are live. How's everyone? All right. Okay. Just want to make sure we're live on all platforms. Yes. Okay. Welcome, everyone. It is Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and I'm your host, Stacey B of the New Empowered Woman Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I see you out there. Let us know you're out there with us. Please remember, if you want to make a comment, please remember to give StreamYard permission to use your name and your picture so we can see that face, so we can see who's talking to us tonight. Again, welcome to the New Empowered Woman Show. I am Stacey B, New Empowered Woman, where we feature women who are living out of the box lives. They've got awesome platforms. They've got amazing stories to empower you, our women out there. So tonight, let me ask a question. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you were putting yourself on pause, or you felt like you could not own your story, you could not own your truth for whatever reason? Perhaps you were afraid of judgment or afraid of, your past just haunting you. But guess what? Our guest tonight, Miss Simene Waldon. All right, the student teacher. She is here tonight and she is going to teach us to unmute ourselves and your story. So let me ask you to hang tight and we will be right back. Hey, we're back. There she is. All right, Miss Simone, how are you?
Well, I take a little couple.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. How are you?
I am well. How are you doing, Miss Stacy?
I'm doing well. I'm happy that you're here with us tonight. So you can help us to unmute ourselves, okay? Right?
Yes, ma'am. And thank you again for the opportunity. Like I don't take it lightly that anybody invites me on their platform. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
You are welcome. I'm so happy that, I'm able to do this. I've had so many amazing people, and thank you to you have now joined the ranks of the new empowered women.
Thank you.
That we are here, amazing women, awesome, really. So don't forget to press like and press share to share the broadcast, share with us tonight, okay?
Mhm.
All right, so let me introduce my guest. Miss Simene Waldon, the student teacher, is a teacher, a coach, a writer, a speaker, a trainer, and an Amazon best-selling author. She is the chief operating officer of the student teacher, where she is flooding the educational system with God's words of prayer. The student teacher trains other educators on how to have a heart of a teacher. The Student Teacher LLC helps new and novice authors craft their stories without losing their voice and compromising their faith. She is a transparency expert, assisting, coaching other women and a few amazing men on how to tell their stories unapologetically. Yes. All right. So let's jump right in here tonight. Okay.
Okay.
So you are the founder of, like I said, the Student Teacher LLC. Now,
Mhm.
I want to back up real quick and talk about the student teacher.
Okay.
Can we get that real quick before we get into, unmuting ourselves? Because I think that's a very unique platform.
Wow. So um the student teacher came by way. I'm a teacher by vocation. So in the daytime, I am somebody, so many bodies, middle school reading language arts teacher. And so I've had a love and a passion for reading and writing for some time. And I remember when I first moved to Maryland 5 years ago, well, it was just really a terrible time for me. Coming from North Carolina, which is considered the South, and coming to Maryland, there was a huge huge salary difference. Right? I
Uh-huh.
was making about I want to say $20,000 more in my salary. But I
Okay.
didn't realize that the cost of living in the DMV area,
Oh, yeah.
it is not the same as the cost of living in Charlotte. And so um I got an apartment in North Carolina thinking I'm gonna have all this money, and I said, well, I can upgrade, and and so when I got here, my years of experience didn't transfer right
Mm.
away. The principal told me I would get paid for my master's degree. That was not the case because they did not honor religious degrees. They said it was 2 degrees they didn't honor: religious and real estate. And I said, wait
Wow.
a minute here. I got a master's in Christians, focused on Christian studies, focused on youth ministry. If this don't correspond with what I do, I don't know what will. But they never accepted. Like later on, I kept pressing, and they accepted a few credits, but they didn't accept my degree. So I didn't get what I thought I was be making. And so
Yeah.
now I have this apartment. I've totally moved everything, and I cannot afford to be here. And I created a sharing table in my classroom because I work at a Title I school. You get free and reduced lunch. And
Hmm.
so the students, they were encouraging you get up, pick up a breakfast. They got staff and students got free breakfast in the morning. And with the grant or the monies, if they didn't take the food, they would lose the money. So they would always encourage the students, just pick up a breakfast, just pick up a breakfast. So they would pick it up, but they would come into the classroom and just dump it in the trash can. I should be like, don't just throw food away. But they was like, well, I
Yeah.
can get home. So I said, okay, listen, this is what we'll do. Get your breakfast, bring it down here, put it on the table. We had a little table we called the sharing table. And I seen another teacher do that in her class. So I said, put it on the table. And when at the end of the day, if anybody want a snack, because by the time the end of the day they come out, Ms. Juan, you got some snacks? Or I'm hungry. I'm like, no. So I was like, you got crackers, you got cereal, you got milk. And it got so bad that they didn't realize that the sharing table was for their teacher. That I would have to take this food home because I did not have food in my house, and I had constantly was calling my mom, and I just want to keep exhausting her. And I was like, God, you got to help me. And so for months, I would eat that. I had a older coworker. She retired that year, but she would say this saying, "If you fly, I buy." Meaning, if I went to the store and picked up the food, she would buy me
Hmm.
something to eat. So a lot of
Okay.
times I had lunch because she bought it, and I had dinner because I had to eat this cereal and this milk at my house. And so as that all started unfolding, I was just praying, and God was showing me so much of me in the students that I had. I would get frustrated with them, and oh my God, He'll say, "This is you. This is you as a little girl. These are things you haven't dealt with." And so it really was an introspective look for me to start looking at me. And I start praying relentlessly, like, I cannot stay in this place. Please help me. I don't want to be mean to these children. I want to be a good teacher. And
Yeah.
that's when I just start praying and start praying for them. And as I was praying for them, I was praying for myself. And the more I prayed, the slowly, surely, I start seeing like results in my life. And one morning when I woke up, he says, "You are the student teacher." And I was like, the student teacher? He says, "You're a student of my word, and then you can go out and you can teach other people." And
Wow.
that's how that came to be.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Everything amazing has such a powerful story, you know, before that, was manifested. Just a powerful story of what you had to go through. And from what I've seen so far from you, we've only known each other for a couple of months,
Mhm.
and but I've and listened to your lives that they are just very amazing when you're on your lives with your teachers and all of that. So you have an awesome platform there.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So, okay, so talk to us about the LLC portion, the student teacher LLC. So break that down for us. How are you helping us unmute ourselves?
So again, it first started with me meeting my own self. And so in the process of, all of that, I started taking a class at a church in Maryland, just dealing with, issues in my past as a young girl. And we had an accountability partner, and you're supposed, you go talk to them when, you have issues or whatever. And I was just very adamant with her. I ain't talking about this stuff. I sent her email. I told her like my whole life story. And I was like, well, if she don't respond, that means she ain't the person for me. Well, lo and behold, she responded. And so because I already put it out there through email, then she would start like, asking me questions. I ain't want to talk. And she used to say, your life is not one big secret between you and God. And I used to say, oh, yes, it is. It
Ooh.
surely is. And it's going to stay a secret between me and God. Ain't nobody going to know this story. And she was like, no. And so I had to start slowly but surely just telling her.
Mm.
And then we had to one day share our story in the class. And it was only probably maybe 10 people. But I was like, I thought it was 100,000 million people. And I was like, I'm not doing this. But she came that night and was like a support system. And so I started off with her, and she would help me. I would write out my testimony. And, she would, give me some critiques. And we always had like a timetable or some minutes that you had to do it when you was going to speak. So she would always help me with that. And I remember when I was going to share my story, the first time somebody came and asked me, he's like, can I have a copy of your testimony? And I'm like, a copy of my testimony? You talking about what I just read? And they like, yeah. And so again, because I really wasn't I wouldn't want to get out. So I would be like, okay. And I would wait a couple of days and I would take some stuff out. I would take a whole bunch of stuff out that I wrote because I didn't know what it
Wow.
was going to go. And so I would share it. And then as I would go to different places, people would ask me, can I get a copy of your testimony? I'm like, well, shoot, if they asking for this, I need to write some books. And I started praying for the school system on the phone. And then the Lord said, go on Facebook Live. And so we started in 2017. And I literally would stay up at night to write the prayers out. And the prayers from Facebook Live became my first book. And I wasn't doing it because I planned on helping somebody else. I
Yeah.
was doing it because, I say I wasn't doing it planning on that I was going to help other people publish their stories. I knew that I had a passion for these children, and I saw how that 1 year here in Maryland changed my life and how they just helped me in so many ways. Like, you the teacher, but they was teaching me something every single day. And so it started by me sharing my own story. And I remember I met a lady named Miss Gracie Jackson. And I met her in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I didn't know Kalamazoo was a real place till a couple years ago. And she bought my book. And then she sent me a message later. She lost her sight then 10 years ago. And she sent me an email. And she says, God says, you're supposed to help me write my book. And I said, Miss Gracie, all I know how to do is write my own book. I don't know how to help nobody else write a book. And I definitely don't know how to help you. I thought because she lost her sight, like, I don't know. And she says, well, you pray about it and, get back in touch with me. And I did. And I'm like, God, you have to help me. And I told her, I said, I never did this before for somebody, but I believe God is saying that he's going to help us and we can do it. And I believe God used her because even since then, this was 2017, she started her story. Miss Gracie has yet to finish it.
Mhm.
What it did is open up the door for other people to start saying, can you help me do my story? And that's how the student teacher became to be. When I would make Facebook Lives and I was in Maryland, it was because all of my friends, everything I knew was back in North Carolina. And that was just really a way for me to express myself, to stay connected with people, and then people would send me messages and encourage me. Then people would ask, can you come speak? And I was like, well, sure. So it was really me just releasing my own story, but it didn't start on Facebook. It started privately with my mentor and accountability. And the more I shared it and the more I became comfortable with certain things, I would just share. And then sometimes after I do a live, I say, Lord, I don't know if I probably should. I think I said too much, but I mean, it's already out there then. So I will make another one like a day or two later and say, well, let me just say something else. And then they'll forget about what I said later. That's how that's how it came to be. And so now, most people, my target audience is predominantly women 50 and older who are ready to tell their story after years of not being silent. Because even though I'm a younger woman, it's taken a lot of just work to want to share the story. And I realize not all young people are bound by secrets and all of that stuff. But I know sometimes it takes a while to get to that point. And so, now I predominantly, and that's who was drawn to me, older women. Older women love me. I love them. And those are the ones who say, you know what, I done been through too much. I'm ready to tell this story. And I know you can help me. And that's what we do.
That's amazing. That is just awesome because, and you're right, women in my age category, we have seen some things, we have gone through some things, and we have said what you have said. This story is going to stay between me and God. Nobody else needs to know what
Mhm,
I have been through. I'm not saying a thing. And when you and I talked before, I told you a little bit about what my story was and
mhm,
how I struggled with, okay, I can't say that. I can't put that in that book.
mhm,
You know, and so we struggle with how much, like you said, how much can I share? How
mhm,
much should I share?
mhm,
So my next question is, when we talk about unmuting, okay, because what does that, well, that means us just opening up, like you said,
mhm,
just being unashamed of our past, whatever that might be.
mhm.
So why do you think we stifle ourselves when releasing obviously can be so helpful to us?
So I wasn't told this directly, but indirectly, I believe the biggest lie that has ever been told, and predominantly, and I can't speak for other races because I don't know. I've heard friends that tell me, but the biggest lie is what happens in the house stays in the house. And that's a lie because it don't stay in the house. It goes with you in every other house you go. And you start dropping deposits of you in all these different places until we see it just spreading everywhere. And so fear and that subtle, don't you share our business, don't you let people know what's going on in this house. And you become afraid that, okay, I'm gonna get in trouble if I tell this story, and I'm definitely gonna get in this trouble if I tell a story about somebody in our family. And
Yes.
that was like, uh as a child, especially if things happen to you as a child, it's like you don't want to get in trouble, you don't want to get a whooping, you don't want to be on punishment for the rest of your life, you don't want to be the one who's causing trouble, or all these things. And then even when you get older, if you held it in, it's like you got a reputation to keep. I don't want people to know that happened to me, or I don't know what people gonna think, or I've been in a situation where I've shared truth with people who did not receive it, where I received judgment, I received side eyes, like women like, I don't want to help her, I don't know what, it's almost like you contagious or something. And so
Yeah.
fear of what people gonna say, fear of not being believed, or how your family's gonna receive you, and then what the world's gonna say about you. That's that biggest thing that keep people from not sharing. And sometimes I think we have a, especially if you grew up in any type of dysfunction, whether it's relationships, family, all of that, there everything, a lot of things become dysfunctional. Like loyalty is dysfunctional. You learn a very dysfunctional way of loyalty. It's like, well,
Hmm.
I can't out my family, but your family did wrong. And if it was somebody on TV that did the same thing, you would say this person need to be in jail, or you need to cut his penis off, or she should have never did that. But if it's in your family, it's like this loyalty all of a sudden just kicks in, and you're like, I can't say that. So
Wow. That's powerful right there, Simone. This dysfunctional loyalty. That's heavy.
yeah.
That's that's real heavy. I'm gonna sit with that one for a second.
Me too, Miss Arstette. That was a download straight from the
Okay.
from
From
our,
the heavens.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, really.
Wow. Dysfunctional loyalty. Yeah, yeah, because that's right. We could see it somewhere else. And like you said, we want to call it out.
Yep.
But if it's happened in our families, we've got to somehow keep that
Mm-hmm.
covered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. So, um, let's see. So when we are sharing our story,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because like you said, we have these things from our past. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're speaking, I could so relate, you know, because you know how some people say, people will say, they lie on you, but some things they're not lying about.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Some things they're not lying about. And that's my case. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I did some things back in the day. I
Mm-hmm.
did some things. And yeah, you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, but nobody knows about it better than I do.
That's right.
Okay. So, but sometimes you are still afraid to tell that story, Simone, because if I could share um, the ministry that I'm called to, okay, this stronghold piece, I know I'm supposed to be on here like you every week saying something,
Mhm.
okay,
Mhm.
but a piece of me does not want to put it on the page.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
piece of me does not want to put it on it, but I'm like, look, that was then, this is now.
Mhm.
And so that stronghold
Mhm. Mhm.
that is keeping me, you know, from doing what I've been called to do
Mhm.
because it's for somebody else.
Mhm.
Okay. So, how do you get us, because your platform is geared to that?
Mhm.
How do you get us to even start to being able to release?
So the first thing I would say is, of course, like, pray to God. And I'm gonna see if I can find this prayer I was praying. It's I was reading this today. Prayer is called
Oh,
Fasting and Prayers by Apostle John Eckhart, about stubbornness. And I know, and there's a prayer I was reading today about just
did
stubborn.
you call me out? Did you call
No,
me out?
this is for me. When you said, I was like, oh yeah, this was definitely for what I was doing. But he talks about how when things have been us in so long, it takes root and it's deep down and don't just come up, it's deep down. And so when you want to say it and you want to, you've broken through, there's been a lot of healing and deliverance and a lot of things have been pulled up, but because that's been buried so deep, it takes, you got to keep praying, you got to keep warring for that to come out. And what I used to do is, again, I had, my accountability partner that I could share with her first, and she would encourage me, and then she would tell me more things. And, I shared in my class. It's like, okay. And so I would get more encouragement. But I used to make like these random, well, they weren't random, but I make videos on my phone. I would look at them like 65,000 times. And then I would just post them at night, Miss Stacy, like 12 o'clock at night. Hopefully, like, when I'm going to sleep, I don't know what's going to happen. Then, like, I'll be peeking at Facebook the next day. And
I
one
love it.
students that I actually taught in 8th grade, she sent me a message one time. She's like, Miss Walden, I go back and watch your videos on self help. And I was like, oh my God, you do? And she was like, yeah, and I'm thinking, this girl probably think her teacher's like, whoa. But it brought us close. Now she's an adult and she has like her own child. So now it like it's helpful, but praying and fasting and just having somebody to know that's in your corner, even if it's just one person. And then when you start seeing those comments like, oh my God, Miss Stacy, do you know I was going through that too? And a lot of people, especially when they're dealing with shame and guilt, they may not comment on your post. They'll see it and it'll make them think, or
Mhm.
they'll come to you privately and say, thank you so much. That has helped me. But first, pray and fast. Write it down, make a record and listen, listen to yourself do it, or write it down and read it, and then just say, God, give me the courage and the boldness to do it. Because at the end of the day, I think about this when people, one of my marketing coaches used to say, Simene, do you believe that what you have right now will absolutely change somebody's life? And I would say yes. He said, so you absolutely have to take massive action now because you have the cure to somebody's problem that you're holding on. So Miss Stacy, the very thing that you could post and say is the very thing another woman is looking for with her breakthrough. And it's like, I'm kind of holding on to it. And I know you don't want to hold on to it. And the more you share and the more you do it, it's a level of freedom that comes, because I believe the power is on the secret. The devil wants
Mm.
us in shame and condemnation. And so he says, if I keep you with this secret and I keep condemning you every day about this secret and I keep telling you how bad it is, and I know you say you change, and I know that, that you don't, people ain't gonna look at you like, but they just might. And so it just keeps ringing in your ear and ringing in your ear. But when you expose it, then light comes. The enemy loves darkness, but when you expose that thing, man, you like, shoot, I don't care what y'all say. If you fall off, it ain't for you. But the person it's supposed to be for is gonna get it. And I was the first recipient of it. So think about it. You're the first person that's a
Mm.
recipient of that. One of the things that Miss Carol just asked the audience as we were talking, she says, how much does it cost? How much is it costing you now not to share?
Mm-hmm.
How much is it costing you now to hold on to things that you know God is saying you probably should share that, or things you know, I think this will help some young woman. I think, I see patterns in other people's lives. I think if I share the things I've overcome or the things I could say, that it would definitely benefit them.
Wow. Ooh, Jesus, that was good. That was good. I just need you to say that other thing one more time. The what? The power is in the what? What
The
did you say?
power is in the secret.
Power is in the secret.
That's what the power is.
Jesus. The power is in the secret. Wow.
That's why this is why you see so much pedophilia and so much molestation that goes on for generations in a family, because people don't tell it. And when they finally share it, I remember a lady telling me this months ago when she shared her story about she said it was crazy. It was the same family member. All of her female cousins says, "Oh my God, that happened to me too."
Woo.
You talking about the power of a secret? None of them wanted to tell, and this went on for years after all these little girls were
Hmm, hmm.
touched on because nobody wanted to expose the secret.
And see, and that's what I'm saying. We gotta expose it. We gotta expose it. Well, honey, before we get to the second half of this thing, before we get to the second half, if you have any comments or questions, please type them in so that we can engage with you throughout this program. Because yeah, you're gonna miss out. Yes, yes. So before we get to the second half, let's just go for some church announcements real quick.
All righty.
All right, everyone. If you missed the webinar last 2 weeks ago, you have another opportunity. Upcoming webinar on how to spot cycles and strongholds on Wednesday, August the 19th at 7 p.m. It is a Zoom meeting. There will be a link that will be sent to you. If you are interested, please inbox me at newempowered, the number one, at gmail.com. Again, that's newempowered, the number one, at gmail.com if you want to attend this upcoming webinar on how to spot cycles and strongholds, something that you have been dealing with for years and generations. Come and talk to me. Come in this free webinar so you can get some clarity. All right. So I expect to see you on Wednesday, August 19th at 7 p.m. All right. Let's get back to this awesome show on how we are unmuting ourselves. All right, all right. So let's just pivot now to discuss what do you have going on. Now, you've got this new book out,
Yeah,
right?
it's
All right.
coming. It's coming September 12th.
September 12th. I want to show everybody. So let me try to do this again. I love the cover. Look at that. Unmute yourself. Anthology. Speaking our truth unapologetically.
Yeah.
So talk to us about this project.
So, Miss Stacy, this all started, and that's why I share. And I know sometimes people, when you tell people, to pray about it, some people thinking like prayer don't help, but prayer is absolute. You pray in the beginning, the middle, and the end of a thing. Keep praying over and over about it. And so one morning we were on Facebook Live. I do a segment on Tuesday mornings, every other Tuesday morning called Galvanize to Pray. And me and my sisters on, and one of my sisters, she is a psalmist, and so she started off singing, and we were on StreamYard, and I muted everybody so there would be no background noise. Well, the moment I muted her singing, like, it became very distorted, and so I was like, well, maybe it'll just clear up, maybe it's her internet. And so it did. And went about 2 or 3 minutes, and one of the sisters posted a message like, hey, she's breaking up, and people was making comments. And I said, I know. And I was praying. I was like, I don't really know what to do to stop it. And so I went to unmute myself to interrupt her. And as soon as I unmuted myself, she became clear. So I was just like, okay, that worked. And so as we were starting to pray and all that, I was like, I shared what happened. I said, I feel like God is telling us to unmute ourselves. That same week, I was doing a 5-day writing challenge. And that morning after I got off, I shared that with the ladies. And then God started giving me more insight on that. He was like, when you unmute yourself, it makes it easy for the next woman. And I shared that with them and I say, listen, you have to tell your story because you have no idea who is going to help. There was no anthology in sight for this challenge. It was a free 5-day challenge. This happened on a Tuesday. By Wednesday night, he says, I want you to do an anthology, present it to these ladies on Friday, and it's called Unmute Yourself. And this is exactly how this came to be.
Right, you just get these heavenly downloads like that's you have to be real spiritual on the mute button, okay? Don't sleep on the mute button. It's a revelation in the mute. It's a revelation in that mute button. Wow. That was amazing. That was so amazing, honey. So now that this has come to be, after that one conversation, and God downloaded this on you. So then, and after the challenge, you just said, there's power in us unmuting ourselves, and you have to do it, and you have to do it, and you have to do it. Um, so talk to us about the collaboration with the women.
So there was probably maybe I'll say maybe like 12 women that would show up. And I'm not necessarily a morning person. Even though I teach school, I was so happy. When I have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready. And so I did it at 8 o'clock in the morning from 8:45 because then I started online teaching at 9 o'clock. And I didn't think, people would really sign up, but these women was coming. And so we had about 12 women every morning. And the first 2 days, I felt like, well, maybe I'm not really giving them much, but God was really giving me, helping. We was talking about the emotions of writing, going through all the things that you currently feel about your story, the things you may feel about later, and how to combat those emotions. And one thing I would share, Miss Stacy, is that whenever we have a thought or something that keeps us from doing something, go find the word of the Lord, go find an affirmation and combat it with it. Take it like 3 times a day, like medicine. Oh, when I get fearful, oh, I need to post this, but I don't want to. Go get that word and keep saying it over until you get enough strength and courage to say, I'm going to post this thing, and boom, put it out there. And so, as they were sharing their stories, it was just so liberating to me, and to never diminish anybody's story. But sometimes when you hear other people's story, you say, well, gosh, mine surely could have been worse.
Yeah.
I thank you for what I went through. And so they started signing up slowly but surely. At first, nobody really was budging. I was like, well, God, I know you gave this to me. So, hey, I'm just keep putting it out there. And then I put it out there and put it out there and put it out there. And so we have, it's 9 of us total. That includes me. And so the story, they've already shared their manuscript. And so we're working now on the first edits. And because when I tell you, it's heavy stuff because it's stuff that I didn't experience. And it's like, oh my God, but it's so liberating to think that people would trust you with their stories. I told you my predominantly target market is women 50 and older. Some of these women told me they never shared their story ever. They held this stuff on for 50 years. And now they said, I'm going to tell my story. And so I don't take that lightly. I don't take that for granted. And it's just been, very liberating. And I think because I was so transparent, and I was Facebook and writing became my therapy. And then what I wrote down, I would share it on Facebook. And I think because I was so transparent, it made other people say, well, maybe I can talk to her about, my issues. And a lot of women that come, and a few get men that come, a lot of times it's their first time sharing their story, but it's like they've been going through the process over the years and saying, I'm ready and I know you can help me do it. And so that's really how this whole thing has come to be.
Wow, you are, definitely, it is very clear that God has called you to this, and excuse me, excuse me, for when you say there are women who have been holding on to things for 50 years. Can you just imagine how freeing,
Yeah.
they have become since they've been, in contact, in fellowship with you, and with your project for unmuting yourself? I mean, that is just so powerful when you get to release toxic things.
Yeah.
You know, I can just imagine them, you know, being free from other things just from telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe health has been improved or improving, because when we hold on to things like that, it affects us physically,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, and all of that. So this is just, it's more than a book project.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's more than just a book project and words on a page.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what else do you have going on? So, how do we talk to us about how we can get in touch with you, if, our listeners and viewers want to come in contact with the student teacher?
Okay. And Miss Stacey, if I may say one thing that really
Hmm.
helped me is
Hmm.
as I was doing Facebook videos, some of the things I had to have a conversation with my mom at 30. I'm 38 now. At 35, I was sexually assaulted in eighth grade, and I had carried that for so long, and I didn't want to. I was again, I was afraid because she told me don't invite people to the house, and that was, I knew that if I told her that happened to me, she wouldn't have been. Looking back now, I don't think she wasn't mad at me when I told her, but she was like, "Why didn't you tell me, babe?" I said, "Because I thought I was gonna get in trouble." My friend brought this man, a grown man, to my house, and I didn't say, "Hey, get out," because of course I'm still a little girl, and so it took me 35 years, or I was 35 when I told her, and she took it cool, but later on, she was like very broken by that. Like, starts with the bad mom. And I said, no, you the best mom for me. And I said, God loves you so much that He kept me in the midst of that. And one day she said she would listen to my Facebook lives, and I think sometimes it would become overwhelming for her to know, her daughter went through certain things that she didn't know, so she had to stop watching a lot. But one day she
Hmm.
called me and she said this to me. She says, "Baby, you say and do what God tells you because some people will take their secret to the grave."
Hmm.
She don't know how liberating and free that was. And I know probably after that, she like, I shouldn't have told this girl because she really telling all her business. But yes, to have it was like a blessing. It's like it was like a mother's blessing.
Hmm.
You go and do what God tells you. And after that, I care how my family feels. I absolutely respect their feelings. But the ultimate person that I really cared about was my mom. And when she said, honey, you just let it rip,
Hmm.
I just let it rip. So
You let it rip. You let it rip.
I let it rip. So you guys can follow me on Facebook. Actually, it was yesterday morning mistakes. I didn't even think I was gonna be able to do this, but I was in prayer and the Lord was like, shut your social media down. And I was like, what? He's like, shut your social media down. I'm like, okay. So I was trying to go, I shut my LinkedIn, my Twitter, my Instagram down. I attempted to shut this down until I got on my laptop, on my iPad, the messenger was still up there. So I clicked on it and the lady was like, hey, I posted this today. And she says, can you see it? And I say, I attempted to shut my Facebook down. I said, I guess not. And I clicked on it, it was still open. So I was like, well, God, I thought I shut Facebook down. I guess I'm not. Let me just keep going with this. And so you can reach me only on Facebook at the moment at
Okay.
Walden and the student teacher.
Okay.
Perhaps when I get back on the other ones, you can go
Okay.
there. But right now, just on Facebook.
Okay, so I'm going to try to put this on the banner. And so what is that on Facebook again, honey?
Is the student teacher is the uh public public profile page,
Okay.
and then my regular page is Simene Waldon, Facebook.
Okay, the student teacher, is it Facebook? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to show that. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you so much.
Okay, and then I'll put this also Facebook.
I like the way you do those, Miss Stacy. Mine don't look like that when I do it.
Oh, well, let's talk about how to get it.
Okay.
Now, does your Facebook have the accent on Simone or
It
no?
does.
It
It
does? Okay.
does.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Now, if we could go back just couple steps back, when you were
Mhm.
talking about when you were getting ready to share your story and you shared with your mom when you were 35,
Mhm.
that piece right there was the hardest part for me because having to share that story, and I think my mother was the only person I went to after my book was finished, all of that. Nobody even knew I was writing,
Mhm.
okay, until it was finished at the publisher and
Mhm.
all of that. And I was so afraid, really, to go to my mom because, of how sensitive the information was.
Mhm.
And, I talked to her and, I'm like, Mommy, are you going to be okay with me sharing this? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I know you are not this person.
Mhm.
You are not this person anymore. All this
Mhm.
stuff was way back when,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it's a part of my story as
Right.
well.
Right.
It's a part of my story. And for real, she was the only person I was worried about.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. And I know there were some other people who were not cool with it.
Mhm.
But she was the only person. And like your mom, my mother's like, look, if this is what you have to do, then you do. My mother is like as cool as a fan. You understand? But she was like really the only person I was worried about,
Mhm.
about her feelings and things like that. But I was like, at the end of the day, this is my story.
Yep. Yeah.
You
And
know?
Miss Stacey, what I've learned is that people try to say it's defamation, but
Yeah.
it's included in my story. That's not I'm just telling my truth because you may not be comfortable with it, and maybe you have, and thank God for people changing. But like you said, it's a part of my story, and so this is my truth. And I always encourage people, don't share it from a angry and a hurt place. Share it
Right.
when you're like you can share the moments of how you was hurting and how it was distraughtful and traumatic, but you can still share your story without being dogmatic with somebody else. I mean, it happened. They'll feel some kind of way because, it's like now I'm exposed for this, or, dang, I really was a bad person, or I really made bad decisions. But don't allow people to make it seem like you're defaming my name or you just putting all my business out there. No, it's a way you can tell your story without saying, every single detail that they did, but this is what happened to me, and this is my truth, and this is how it affected me.
Absolutely. And that's the key right there. Knowing how to share, how to share it, how much to share, so it won't be, defaming and all of that. So this is awesome. And that's why we need to get on board with the student teacher.
Hey,
We need to get on board. Hey, mommy's on here. She says powerful information.
that's your mom.
Yeah, that's my mother. We
Hey, mom.
we
Wow.
got to get her picture up here. I swear we've been trying we got to get up to her house to show her how to get her picture on here.
Oh,
We've been
that's
trying to get her picture
cute.
every week.
Oh, that's so cute that she's of it, and that's like your number one fan. Like moms,
Girl, who you telling? She
mom,
is my number one.
they support you in everything. They'll tell everybody about you. Do you know my moms are the best? We have all of us have our own issues, but when I say moms are the best, they the best.
You are so right. She's my biggest supporter. If I was chewing bubble gum standing on one foot, she'd be like, "Come, you better come see my daughter chew
Yeah.
this gum. You better watch."
Yep.
I don't care what it is. My
Mhm.
mother, she is the biggest supporter.
Wow.
So, Simone, this has been awesome. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience tonight?
No, no, there's only one last thing I want to share with you, Miss Stacey. And these
Yes.
prayers I told you that I read earlier today. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna read them out and again. It's out this John Eckhart book. And whenever, and this is for anybody that's watching, whenever you feel like there's a tug on something that you should be doing, get you some word to combat that. And Miss Stacey, one thing I ask the Lord is, Lord, make it very plain and relevant to me. Like when you're talking about like there's power in the unmute button, and
Mhm.
but I always ask him to reveal it to me very plain because I don't understand all this. I need it very plain so I can understand it and then I can do it. Because a lot of people can teach you stuff, but if you don't understand it, you ain't gonna do anything with it. So he
Right.
has to be very practical with me. And
Mhm.
because I'm a reading teacher, I love words. And when I feel like it got some power on, I just keep saying it over and over again. So I'm gonna share these 3 little prayer points and then that's it for me. So
Okay.
um it says I exercise, and it's talking about, okay, I weaken, break down, and pressure every stubborn demon and stronghold. You are getting weaker and weaker, and I'm getting stronger and stronger. I exercise long war against you until you are completely defeated and destroyed from my life in Jesus' name. I break the will of every stubborn spirit that will attempt to remain in my life in the name of Jesus. You have no will to remain. Your will is broken, and you must submit to the name of Jesus and the power of the Holy Ghost. I come against all stubborn demons and strongholds in my family that have refused to leave, and I assault every demonic fortress that has been built for generations in the name of Jesus. And so these
Mm.
are the prayer points I was praying today. Like all this stuff, all the deep rooted stuff that just won't leave me that I know about now, you got to go. And I'm gonna keep saying this over and over again until you just leave.
Wow, that sounds like a resource that I'm gonna have to invest in.
Mhm.
That's some powerful stuff right there. Those 3 points, those three prayers you just did, they are powerful. Yes, yes, indeed. All right. So this has been great, Simone. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Day. Thank you so much.
This has been so just wonderful. All of the information. So, freeing and, you know, giving us the importance of us unmuting ourselves and telling that story.
Yeah.
Somebody is waiting. Somebody is waiting, even if it's just one person.
Yep.
Somebody is waiting for this story to let them know that freedom is available,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So, Simone, we have your Facebook information. They can reach you. Tell us one more time let's see, what am I looking for? Tell us one more time when this book will be released.
So unmute yourself. The anthology will be out September 12th, 2020. If you would like to pre-order a copy now, um, you can send me. I don't think I got my. Well, you can go to simenewaldon.com, but
Okay.
it'll be you can check my Facebook for the links to go and purchase it, but we are accepting pre-orders now, but it will be out September 12th. And initially the first go round, we're only doing ebook first, and then the print book's going to come out a couple weeks later. So it'll be ebook available September 12th. And we are looking for well, ladies already have theirs. I'm looking for a couple beta and alpha readers who will read it and give us some, give me some thoughts about my chapter, and perhaps your testimony or your review will be posted inside the book and we'll use it on social media. So if you want to be, a beta reader or alpha reader right now to get a sneak preview of what I wrote, then you can send me a message, and then you'll have part of the story in advance. Some people call them advanced reader, advanced copy readers. And so that's
Yeah.
really for you. Yeah.
Okay. So to pre-order again, and also if they want to be an alpha or beta reader, what's your email again, hon?
Is Simene
Uh-huh.
at SimeneWalden.com. And it's DEN. So Simene at SimeneWalden.com.
Oh, so let me go back up here and change this. I'm sorry, I spelled that incorrectly.
Okay.
Walden.com. Okay. So if you would like to pre-order the book, you can email. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. To pre-order, please do that. And I may just hit you up so I could be a beta test
Hey, I
reader,
would
a
love
beta reader.
it. I would love to get your feedback, Miss Stacy.
Yes. Okay. Awesome sauce. Well, this has been awesome. Again, this has been a wonderful show tonight. And we thank our guest, Miss Simene Waldon, for her insight on how we can unmute ourselves and tell our stories unapologetically.
Yeah.
No apologies for telling our stories, not 1 ounce. So we hope that you will take this information and use it, refer back to it, so that you can become free. And so, with that, that's going to be our show for tonight. And also, remember, if you are free on Wednesday, on August the 19th, that you can be with us on the webinar, How to Spot Cycles and Strongholds, on Wednesday, August 19th at 7 p.m. We would love to have you for this free webinar. You can hit us up on email to let us know if you would like to get the link for Eventbrite to register. All right. All right. So, if you would like to be a guest on New Empowered Woman, please email me. If you want to be a guest at New Empowered, the number one at gmail.com. Again, that's New Empowered, the number one at gmail.com. Well, that's going to do it for us for another episode of the New Empowered Woman Show, where the new is all about you. I'll see you next week.